All right, we should be live now, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Win or Tilt Show. Again, we are the Jae'Sean Tate fan club here. We have a 5-game NBA slate to talk about. The board's kind of tough. Not a lot that stands out to me right now. I don't know about you, Mark, but Mark, how are you feeling today?
Oh man, there's a few things that yesterday was just one of those days in DFS and like PrizePicks and whatnot where I feel like nobody did well. Like just going on Twitter, kind of seeing what people are saying, seeing what people are talking about. Like it was so many people because like the chalk plays, some of the chalk plays like Davion Mitchell and whatnot played really well. Like Davion Mitchell had a game of his life. Same thing with with KPJ and Jalen Green and stuff like that. But then these just like random the smaller plays, it seemed like everybody was consensus on. The solid value guys just didn't do a damn thing. So
yeah, it felt like that. I felt like a lot of the Houston value kind of busted. I wasn't expecting Bruno Fernando to be in the rotation. Definitely. We were tilting about this in the first half. Magic rotations. Mo Bamba playing like 2 second half minutes or 2 second quarter minutes, I should say.
Yeah. Just frustrating.
Yeah.
Frustrating. And then I sent you that how do I join the Broderick Thomas fan club?
Hey, Cam. Appreciate it, man. I was doing the Broderick. Hey, Broderick Thomas, man. Did I tell you about that last year?
No.
So it was a slate last year. He was in the Cavs, and there was a lot of guys out for Cleveland, and for some reason, a lot of the field was on Broderick Thomas. And I was I was like, I don't know how much he plays. Like, I think he barely plays here. I think he ended up playing like 10 minutes. And like I had on my Patreon stream, I talked about how, I was just shocked once I saw that ownership of Broderick Thomas. Yeah. And then I had like the whole DFS community coming at me. They were all pissed. Broderick Thomas was such a good play. You got lucky, blah, blah. And people were furious at me for saying how I thought Broderick Thomas was a bad play. And he was awful. So that was basically the Broderick Thomas story, but appreciate that, Cam.
I know who Broderick Thomas is. Yeah. I wasn't familiar with that story, but that's great. Yeah. We talked about this last night when we were texting. People want to be mad. Like when something doesn't go right, like people think it's like our fault. That these things just like are like we're the players. And it's like at the end of the day, we're going through and we're analyzing and trying to figure out who's going to play well. But at the end of the day, it requires that player to then play well. We can't do that. It's not us. It's not the coach. It's, the player has to put the ball in the hoop,
Exactly. And people just want to be negative on Twitter too. You see it a lot. I just try to, ignore that when there's a lot of negativity that you got to block out.
Yeah. But then there's good people like Cam the Man, with the $20 super chat. That's
He's
great.
The GOAT, man. He's the GOAT.
There we go.
Do you want to talk about the Houston Sacramento stack that we used? Went 3 or 4. So obviously not bad, but Jae'Sean Tate minutes weren't great. Were lower than we were expecting. Again, I wasn't really expecting Bruno Fernando to be in the rotation. So that was one more body that got a good chunk of minutes. Kind of hurt KJ Martin, who I don't even think he got a prop. I was looking for his props. I don't think they were ever up.
Yeah.
But yeah, that extra body being in the rotation did hurt Jae'Sean Tate's minutes. But I mean, KPJ, Davion Mitchell, and Jalen Green, like they all hit theirs, I feel like in the first quarter. I was looking at that. I was like, oh, this is easy.
Yeah, they were balling. The downside, with PrizePicks, and it's just like it is what it is that if you're in a game like that, if there's not a lot of props available, we were stacking it there, but we only had the choice of 3 Houston guys. That was it, right?
Yeah, there was. It was KPJ, Green, and Tate. I think that was it. So, so we didn't really have much of a choice. And it came down to Tate rebounds or points. We ended up going points. It is what it is. But that would be, one of the reasons why you might want to do a 5-leg because, there's a chance that obviously we double our money or at least. Yeah, going 4 or 5 instead of going for 0.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's one of those things where, it is what it is. Like, if we had hit that Jae'Sean Tate, we'd be on here right now talking about how we just 10x'd our money, right? So, it is what it is. Sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles, right?
I will say though, like taking advantage of teams like this down the stretch, like a Houston, where it's just like a completely different situation than it was all year.
Yeah.
I think we can definitely keep taking advantage of that. Like we had the right idea again, getting a lot of stacking that game up, Houston and Sacramento, and taking the overs, just because again, completely different situations for like Kevin Porter Jr. and Jalen Green, right? When Wood and Sengun are out of that lineup, they don't have a high usage big, right? They started Usman Garuba. So it's like you're looking at that Houston team and you're just like, all right, so who's going to score the ball? Well, it's the guard. So like we can definitely take advantage of situations like that, I think, in the last couple of weeks of the regular season, and continue to look at games kind of like a Sacramento-Houston. I don't know if there's one that stands out to me on this slate as far as like, I want to, kind of stack up a game, but I think that's definitely something we can continue to take advantage of.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, that's – and sometimes it might be like a smaller, more condensed like 3 plays, Like I think you could look at the Bucks Nets game today and do some sort of combination of like Kevin Durant points, Andre Drummond points, and like Giannis points, something like that in a game that has a super high over-under, right? 243. So I think there are ways that you can do it. But yeah, I mean, I look at like doing the strategy that we were doing of like the 1 game stack is very, very similar to an approach you would do with a DFS showdown. Is you're just trying to get the game script right. And if you get the game script right, there's a solid chance that you end up, nailing it. And we got the game script right. We just, can't help it when Jae'Sean Tate goes for like 2 for 9 or whatever he was.
Right, and plays a lot less too than we were expecting.
Yeah, but we nailed it that like where were the points going to come from? We said it's going to be KPJ, it's going to be Jalen Green, and they were shooting the lights out. It's unfortunate that sometimes you can't do multiple props for one player. That would be nice. I don't know if someday they'll allow that, but like it would be nice to be able to do like rebounds and points with a guy. I get that 3-pointers and points wouldn't make sense because like if he hits 3-pointers, he probably hits points. But it would be nice if someday we could do the same player, just 2 different props on them.
Agree.
The all under angle. we
hit our 1 under yesterday. That was a sweat too. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah.
Scotty Barnes did not start the second half because they wanted a big out there against Karl-Anthony Towns. And he had like, I think 8 PRA. So he checked in with like a few minutes to go in the third quarter. I'm like, all right, this is easy under. We don't even have to sweat it. Scotty Barnes just goes absolutely off. But luckily they pull him and we got him a half point short. So yeah, that was a bigger sweat than it needed to be. And then our other ones came up just short. Tyus Jones was at 6 for the longest time. And didn't end up going over. That game did stay competitive though, and you saw a lot of those Grizzlies guys do very well. Murray and Bamba coming up like a point or 2 short in the first half prop. So we were close. We were close on that 5 for 5, just short on 3 of those.
Yeah, and then I had the other one that I did a all first half that I texted you for the 4 p.m. games.
Yeah.
And who was it? Goga had 3 turnovers and cost me $800. Boy, that would have been nice for Goga to hit that. Just needed 1 less turnover from Goga.
I feel like that's a Russell Westbrook waiting to happen tonight against the Jazz on the road. Like he's gonna hit his first half prop and then go for like 4 or 5 turnovers and go under.
100%. But the other guy I like though in that game is Malik Monk. I believe his PRA is only 23.5. What are they doing?
Yeah, I mean, they need scoring, right? And, Monk's going to play a good chunk, I think, a competitive game or blowout. Like we saw it last game. Starters played until early fourth quarter, then they kind of emptied the bench. But it's like he's going to be on the floor with guys like Stanley Johnson and Wenyen Gabriel and Austin Reeves. It's like the offense is coming from Monk and from Westbrook.
Yeah. I very much like Monk tonight. He's a great shooter. He's going to shoot, and he's going to keep shooting. I would love to go back to Lauri Markkanen, but man, did he screw us yesterday too. Markkanen played bad.
Yeah, it was a Levert show there.
Yeah, it was.
Levert
took over. I wasn't sure if Garland was going to get there, and then he did with assists. But yeah, Levert's a good player. I like watching him play.
He's good. He's a good scorer. Real quick though, before we get into any more breakdowns, I got to tilt about this for DFS. Talked about it for YouTube, but so again, I mentioned it to you. I had Damian Jones and Tyus Jones going in, and then we got news that Alex Len, he was originally out and then ruled back in. So I pivoted off Damian Jones, 52 fantasy points. I pivoted off from Tyus Jones to Maladon, which I would have done anyway because Trey Mann got ruled out. So there's just more myths go around for the Thunder. And Tyus Jones went for like 45. Maladon's still good, but it would have been an extra 10 fancy points. Did the calculations, would have finished at like 344, 345, would have taken down both my contest small field. So, I missed. I hit in low stakes, missed by like 1 in high stakes cashing. So,
what's your worst loss in DFS? Like the one where if you just switched 2 guys that you were debating playing, you would have won.
It's so hard to even think about that because I've had so many bad beats.
Whatever yours is, I think mine beats it.
Yeah, back in the day, I think it was like 2015, 2016. It was the Hawks, and it was Ersan Ilyasova and one other guy. And I think I had Ersan all day. And then at the last second, I decided to pivot to this other Hawks big. And Ersan went off. And if I would have kept it, it would have been like an $8,000 win. But I ended up like min cash. It was just a horrible beat. But I've had a lot of those, I feel like, over the years where like last year I finished, I think 6th in the big tournament on, again, I just only play 1 entry. It was, I think I had Bertans instead of Isaiah Roby. And had I had gone Roby, which it was something I was deciding on, it would have been a $100K win instead of like a 4K, or I forget what I won. I think it was like $5,000 or $6,000 I won that night. But just a lot of them. I'd have to go back and I should write all these down just because there's been so many. But it's a good question. I'll have to think about that more. Think about other bad beats I've had.
We have one that we bring up in our group chat all the time. It's 2 years ago or 3 years ago, the last year that Andrew Luck was in the NFL. Okay. I had Andrew Luck as my quarterback, or I had Matt Ryan as my quarterback in the Millie Maker, and I switched to Andrew Luck last second from Matt Ryan. If I kept Matt Ryan in there, I would have taken down the Millie, and I finished in like 100th place in the Millie, which is great. But I would have won the million because the guy who won it, we had 2 separate running backs. My running back scored more than his, but Matt Ryan outscored Andrew Luck by like 20. So, and they were the same exact price. So
a Millie Maker tilt like that's horrendous.
Yeah, that was.
What was your reasoning to go into Luck over Matt Ryan?
So, oh God, it's a terrible reason. NFL starts at 10 a.m. on the West Coast, which is brutal sometimes because you go out on a Saturday night, you're a little hungover. It's a little tough to wake up on Sunday morning and get into DFS. And my buddy was like the biggest Andrew Luck fan and was always telling me like Andrew Luck's so much better than you think he is, blah, blah, blah. And he was coming off that shoulder injury. And so I was like, dude, I'm not as high on Andrew Luck. And so I had Ebron and Ridley in my lineup that day. So I could have gone either way because I was stacking one of the two.
Yep.
And my buddy just had always talked about how much he loved Andrew Luck. And so it literally just got into my brain. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going Andrew Luck. And later on that day, I didn't realize because I had woken up a little bit late. I didn't check the weather. And wherever Andrew Luck was playing, I think it was an away game, it was raining. And so in hindsight, it made no sense for me to put in Andrew Luck over Matt Ryan. But I woke up late and was just kind of quickly putting together my lineup. And I would have typically checked weather and things like that. I didn't do that. If I had, I would have played Matt Ryan and I would have won the $1 million. It is what it is.
Yeah, that's awful. Was it was probably one of those situations where Atlanta got down big and then you just saw Matt Ryan air it out and have a big fantasy game?
Yeah, it was. I think Calvin Ridley went for 3 touchdowns. And so I had Calvin Ridley in my lineup, and then Ebron I think had 2, but it was just like not. I think Matt Ryan might have had like 5 overall. It was like he had a hell of a game. But yeah, so that was my biggest DFS. Like what
Well,
could
that
have
beats
been.
me. I mean, that trumps me. $1 million tilt. Definitely.
Yeah, it was in a legit millie, so it was tough. It was tough, but hey, but we're gonna win some prize picks today. And then we just got confirmation that USFL is going to be on DraftKings. Very excited for that.
Oh yeah, I that'll be in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I want to see. I'm assuming PrizePicks is going to have stuff for that. So I think there'll be a pretty big edge on some of the USFL props for sure. If we can
I
get
might
on
have to join you with on some of your streams if you want me to help out with that. I love all that DGen betting. So that's right up my alley.
Like XFL when that was going on, I love that.
Yeah. So all right. Well, hey, what games are you liking today?
Yeah, so like I said, like the board to me seems pretty tough. I think the Milwaukee Brooklyn game is a game that I think could definitely shoot out. So once again, I feel like this is a situation where you're probably going to get pretty big minutes. So for the Stars, like we saw 38 minutes for Giannis last game, and now he gets the Nets, who literally play no defense. So I know Giannis, it's a high prop, but I think the fantasy scores is one I like at 59 right now, just because again I think this game has shootout potential. But other than that, there's not a lot of games that I'm like looking at. I'm like, oh, I really like these props. I think it's a pretty tough board, so I don't know if I'm gonna go crazy on today's slate.
Yeah, no, I think this is one where you kind of trust the Stars. That's kind of the way I look at today's slate. Is a lot of dudes are going to be just you trust the guys who are going to get the volume and are going to kind of try to round themselves into playoff shape and things like that. So I look at guys like I think Paul George is 24.5. Like that seems high, but really like Paul George, he showed right off the bat he's right back to typical Paul George. He went for 34. I think he has a decent matchup against Chicago, but I think he's going to want to. He's got a 1 day rest. I think he'll be ready to get back after it. I think Donovan Mitchell against the Lakers. I like him. He's been routinely hitting that 25.5. And I think you can easily run that back with Malik Monk, either PRA or points. So I think you can, I think you can kind of go with the bigger dogs today, and kind of run it that way.
Yeah, I do want to mention with Utah. I think it's pretty important for DFS and for PrizePicks is Quinn Snyder is known for playing his players pretty late into a blowout, right? And this game obviously has blowout risk. Like the Lakers are awful. I think it's like a 14 or 15 point spread.
Yeah.
And we see, especially at home, Utah will play their main guys more. Like I think if it's a 30-point game in the fourth quarter, you still get one more shift out of the main guys. Like Mitchell and Gobert play to like the 6 or 7 minute mark of the fourth quarter. So that is one thing that I think you should factor in is even though there is some blowout risk, Utah known for playing their starters pretty late into a blowout.
Yeah. No, I definitely think that Utah is a good option today. I also think there's some good matchups today for the for the first half.
Okay.
So you've got I like Levine at 11.5. He had a terrible game last game. The game that wasn't sure if he was going to play. Maybe you shouldn't have. Because he went for 0 in the first half.
He actually didn't score. Okay, but he scored in the second half. I was like, wait,
yeah. He was awful in that first half.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he went for. I mean, he's typically smashed that. I think they lowered that too much. So I like that 11.5 a lot. I think that's got a lot of great value to it. I like the Mike Conley 6.5. He's been routinely hitting above that. He's only had one game below 6.5 in the first half. And if there's a team that you're going to hit it against, it's
the Lakers. Yeah,
it'd be the Lakers. So I think we can get, I got to look more at, I'm going to pull up some of the fantasy scores in the first half and just kind of look at some of those too. But I think, maybe this is one where we do a combination because we've been typically doing just kind of like one or the other, but maybe we do some sort of combo of first halves and some all games and things like that. Try to get real specific with it, because I think there is a lot of really, really good value in some of these. We just have to get a little bit more tricky with it on a slate like this.
Agree. I do want to mention one guy they do like another, again, I know it's a star for either the first half or for the full game. It's Trey Young. Now, everyone knows this. I will never get this guy right, but I do think that his props are a little bit too low. This Cleveland team is not the same defensive team that we have seen this year, right? There's no Jared Allen. There's no Evan Mobley. No real rim protectors. Moses Brown is fine. Kevin Love's dust on the defensive end. Lauri Markkanen's an awful defender. LeVert, an awful defender. Garland's kind of just mediocre. So, I think the props are a little bit too low for Trey Young, just because this Cleveland team is not the same defensive team that they have been all year.
Yeah. I would agree.
I think this, again, we can take advantage of stuff like this down the stretch, where I think people see that Cleveland matchup and they're like, oh, Cleveland's, been one of the better defensive teams. I'm going to avoid the Trey Young. But again, this is not the same defensive team. We saw Luka absolutely cook the Cleveland defense last night. So I think a guy like Trey's props, basically any of them, fantasy points, PRA points, all seem a little bit too low for me. Yeah.
No, I would agree with that. I think this is a smash game for him. I think that's a game that'll stay close too. So I think it's a game that, I'm a big fan of Trey in a day like today. Once again, it goes back to trust the stars, and later in the season, you get these guys are trying to gear up for the playoffs. And so, at this point, it's, my belief is just put your trust in them and let them do what they're good at,
Right. And we also have some question marks, like Collins not expected to play, Gallinari and Bogdanovic both questionable as well. Gallinari's missed the last couple of games. This Atlanta team's pretty thin. So
I wouldn't mind Bogdan missed this game.
Exactly.
He's been shooting so damn much.
I know. Do you want to take a look at some community? I know there's a couple people replied to my tweets. We want to go over a few of those and then we can get into more stuff.
Yep.
All right, so let's go over this. Again, guys, if you have any on Twitter or in the comment section of YouTube, just let me know. But let's see. So someone brought up Brook Lopez, 4.5 rebounds, taking the over on that. Here's what I will say to Brook Lopez is he's not a good rebounder, right? And we've seen him at least the last few years. He is not the same player as he has been, back in his early days on the Nets, where he was, just playing around the rim. He is a lot of the times on offense standing on the 3-point line, which is not great for rebounds, obviously. And you have Giannis Antetokounmpo obviously on the team, and he is just going to eat a lot of the rebounds. So that is my concern. I will say the minutes-wise for Brook Lopez, he should play close to 30 minutes. He's also going up against another good rebounder in Drummond for what it's worth. So I think it's pretty accurate, the 4.5 rebounds. Do you have a lean on Lopez rebounds, or?
I wouldn't touch Brook Lopez. If anything, I'd go to Chris Middleton, who's at 5, and he's been routinely getting around 7 or 8. I think I could understand Brook Lopez a year or two ago, but Giannis wouldn't have been at 13 rebounds, 2 years ago. So it's like you're looking at Brook Lopez, and it's like, yeah, in theory, can Brook Lopez get 5? Of course, but in this instance, you're asking Brook Lopez to get 5 while you're also looking at a solid chance that Middleton goes for 7 or 8 and Giannis goes for 13 or 14, So those 5 rebounds are a little bit harder to come by when you're, also knowing that you've got Bobby Portis coming off the bench and you've got, some other guys who are going to play some minutes off the bench. And so if Brook Lopez doesn't get that pretty quickly, Giannis is still going to get his 10 or 11 rebounds pretty much guaranteed. Mm-hmm. So if Middleton goes for 7 or 8, there's just not as many rebounds to go around. So that would be
Lopez. He's going to be standing on the 3-point line a lot on offense, right? He'd have to get those rebounds a lot on defense. I don't think he's getting many offensive boards, but that's my only worry. I did want to see, because I know people brought up some of those secondary Denver guys' rebounds. I think someone brought up Denver yesterday, Barton 4.5 rebounds. He only hit 4. Gordon, I think, hit his over. He hit 8 rebounds. I think you brought up the Gordon over the Barton yesterday, didn't you?
Yeah.
I was just curious as we're looking at, kind of other guys' rebounds. I wanted to see how they finish. But
yeah. I'm trying to think of the plays that we talked about yesterday that weren't in our main plays. I'm trying to think about Chris Paul double-double was talked about yesterday. That didn't hit. I believe, if I remember correctly, Chris Paul did not have a point or an assist in the second half.
He didn't do much in the second half. I was watching that game.
Yeah. And then Dwight Powell, oh my God, his was criminal. He
hit that over. I think it was 5.5 rebounds.
No, dude, he had, I think, 5 in the first half. And
he started with like 3 or 4 I saw. So I was like, oh, that's going to easily hit.
Yep, he did not hit. There were so many bad losses yesterday. LaMelo Ball has been nailing 3-pointers. He had 1 yesterday. Mm-hmm. Tyrese Halliburton actually fought and got to 12 assists because Indy looked like they were going to get blown out at the beginning of the game, and then they ended up making it a closer game. But he ended up getting to his. But yeah, there were just a lot of guys that underperformed yesterday versus expectation.
Yep, I think I agree with that. Let's see what else is kind of standing out for you on the board? For me, like I said, there's not a lot. I guess I wouldn't be opposed to maybe taking an under or two. Was there any? I know you don't really look for it, but were there any guys that you would consider taking an under prop on? I was just kind of looking at, like, for example, a Detroit-Philadelphia game. I know Detroit's been playing pretty tough, but I think there's a chance maybe this game doesn't stay competitive. So, maybe looking to some unders in that game. I don't know, I was just kind of scrolling through the board, seeing if there's something that kind of stood out to me. So I wanted to see if there's anything that you liked under-wise before we.
I could see Vooch under 10.5 rebounds. He screwed us the other night, so maybe we screw him right back.
Yeah, and he's going to go for like 20 rebounds.
Yeah, but he has not been hitting 11. So he had 1 game against the Knicks where he got that, but for the most part, he hasn't even been close to hitting that. So. And I do think Paul George is a decent rebounder that the Clippers are adding to the lineup now. And Zubac and Hartenstein are good rebounders. So, I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't get there. And they do have some guys off the bench who play, center and are big bodies like Patrick Williams or Tristan Thompson or, so I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't get there. I could easily see that being an under.
Okay. I don't think there is anything. Again, I mentioned whoops. Shoot. Hold on. Hate when this happens. Like zoomed in
a little bit there.
Yeah.
Take your fingers and just go like that and pinch it. Zoom out.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think there's anything that I'm really liking for unders. Again, I think it's a pretty tight board, so I don't know if I want to go crazy on this slate, but do you want to start building out possibly a power player?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay.
What would be your most confident? Is there a play that you feel the most confident in right now?
Yeah. I think probably either the Trey or the Giannis. Let's say the Giannis fantasy points. I know it's up there, but I just think this is a game where he's going to play more. Like in the regular season, he's been averaging kind of low 30s minutes. He played 38 last game. So I think it's a game he plays a little bit more, but it is, 59 is a lot for Giannis. But I think just the narrative, big game, high total, I think he gets a few extra minutes, which would be huge for a guy like him.
What do you think about doing the first half fantasy score on him? Only because he's hit that more often than he's hit the over 59 full game. He tends to do better in the first half.
Yeah, I think so. What, he's 29.5.
Yeah,
I have no issue with that at all.
He's hit that. Looks like 3 out of the last 5?
Yep.
And he's hit the full game over only once.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not opposed to building out a first half or just throwing a couple in here.
Quan, I'm curious why you want Isaiah Stewart under 8.5 rebounds. I get that he's going up against they're going up against what, the Embiid, but Isaiah Stewart is routinely getting 9 rebounds or more. I mean, he's been smashing that. I get if he stays out of foul trouble, I think he smashes that. But it's I'm assuming you think he's going to get into foul trouble. Let us know what you think about that.
That would be my reasoning. I think there's a good chance he gets in foul trouble, to be honest. He's prone to foul trouble, and he's going up against Embiid, who is one of the best centers at drawing fouls. So,
I think he's been. The only thing is I feel like he's been getting better with staying out of foul trouble. I'm not. Would I be shocked if he ends up in foul trouble tonight? No, but I do think he's been doing a better job as of late of staying out of foul trouble. But obviously, Joel Embiid is a beast. So would it shock me if he ended up in foul trouble? No. But I think that's somebody too that you could look at for a first half over fantasy score wise. He's been pretty much crushing the 28.5.
Yeah, so foul trouble, blowout risk, and I agree. I think there's merit to both those. Decent chance of either. So if you get one or the other, I think you can definitely.
I'm laughing at Matt's comment.
Yeah,
it makes me moist. Yeah, Quan, you gotta be in the chat again tomorrow because I'm calling it right now. There will be no blowout. This is another game where you can take the Pistons with the points. This Pistons team fights. It would not shock me once again if the Nets if the 76ers come out and are crushing in the first half. But the Pistons and Cade's a second half guy. He's been killing it in the second half. So I would not be shocked if this is like a 2 or 3 point game at the end of it because the Pistons do tend to lose, but they do tend to cover. So wouldn't be shocked about that.
Yeah, again, they've been playing really, really well of late. But yeah, so let's build out this. Let's build out a 4 or 5 leg power play, and then we can head out of here, I guess. So where do you want to start? Do you want to give me your favorite one?
Do you want to go with the Giannis first half? It's up to you.
Let's again. I'm not confident in a lot of the board. I'm really not. So I'm going to be relying on you for a lot of this. I don't like a lot of these props. I think they're pretty sharp. There's not a lot of games I like, so I'm not going to go crazy on props that I like.
Okay.
I mentioned a couple of stars. I think Giannis, Trey, but yeah, this is a tough board, and I don't want to just to bet, right? So there's not a lot that stands out to me.
There we go. I think I like, and I could get down with either, but either Malik Monk over 17.5 points or over his PRA. I think he's got a really good. I don't want to call it a really good matchup. He's just getting volume. So yeah, I think he's somebody that it would shock me if he doesn't get there. I think he's pretty much right now a lock for 20. He's shooting great right now. And that game, I don't think Mike Conley is like really because I think Donovan Mitchell will probably be on Russell. And Mike Conley being on Malik Monk doesn't scare me at all. So
yeah, I don't think Conley is the same defender as he has been, back in his glory days. But I do like the Monk. I think again, you just look at this Lakers team, and it's going to be Westbrook and Monk out there with a lot of low usage guys. Like someone has to score the ball. I would probably lean towards taking the points over the PRA.
Yeah.
Just because I think Monk's going to get a lot of his fancy points or like just in general from production from points. So I think I'm good taking the over there on Malik Monk at 17.5.
There we go.
Do you want to pair that with someone from Utah?
If I would pair it with anybody, I would pair it with Donovan Mitchell over 25.5. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I like it. This Lakers team is awful defensively, absolutely awful. And we saw Luka absolutely crush in the first half. And like I brought up earlier, Utah will play their starters a good amount into a blowout. So even if this game does get out of hand, I think you're still getting fourth quarter minutes of Mitchell no matter what, unless it's like a 50-point game. But I think if it's like 25 points in the fourth quarter, you're seeing Mitchell and you're seeing Gobert get one shift in the fourth quarter. So I think pairing Monk with Mitchell over is something that I do like.
Okay.
Okay. What else is standing out to you?
I have an under that I'm not opposed to.
Okay.
That would be Vucevic under 19.5 points. And that's just because I think that he's hit the over 2 out of the last 5. Mm-hmm. But that was a game where LaVine was awful. So LaVine went for 14. I don't think that's happening again. And I just think the Clippers have an underrated defense in a game that doesn't have a high over-under to begin with. So I could see that hitting. I think you're going to see a lot more points going to LaVine and DeRozan today. And if that's the case, you're probably going to see the under on Vooch. But if we don't like taking unders, I think you could easily go LaVine over 22.5 instead.
I was going to say we could pair that. I think LaVine bounces back too. He had an awful game last game. We could pair the under Vooch points with the over LaVine points. Is that something you'd be down to do or no?
Yeah. I think that's getting really tricky with it. I like that. I mean, once again, it goes back to if you nail the game script, then it crushes. So I'm laughing at Cam's comment. DK Mark, are you ready for the 20-man Laker rotation? Yeah. To be honest, I live about 20 minutes from the stadium. I might just go there and see if they'll throw me in. See if I can
probably get some run in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. See if I can wet a few jumpers from the outside. See if PrizePicks will put me up there. But I hope it's not a 20-man rotation. But I think either way, Malik Monk gets there. That's
what I was saying. I think Monk, Westbrook are still gonna have a good chance to hit their numbers. More prone though to look to Monk though, just because Westbrook turnover prone I don't trust Westbrook.
Yeah. So all right. So LaVine over and Vooch under.
Yeah, let's do it. We're taking over points.
Yep. Okay.
So we're going LaVine over, Mitchell over, Monk over, and we're gonna go Vucevic under. Okay, so that's 4.
To be honest, if we wanted, I actually think there's even more value in the Vooch under PRA.
All right.
Because they kept his PRA at 32.5. When the few games before the last one, he was at around 28. So they have it at 32.5. He's only hit that 1 out of the last 5.
I like it.
Yeah, I actually kind of like that more than the points.
Yeah, that's a lot. Again, rebounding wise, he was awful for us rebounds last game. Not saying it's going to happen again, but yeah, I think that's good with me under PRA for Vooch.
Okay.
So that's 4. Do we want to go? Again, I like the Giannis and Trey overs, but I don't know if we want to put that in this one. Again, I know I'm kind of relying on you a lot just because I'm not a big fan of the board, but is there anything else that you really like?
I'm looking at some different 3-point props right now. I wouldn't be opposed to Paul George over 2.5.
Okay.
He was raining them last game, and I think that line will move up to 3.
All right. How many threes did he take last game? Do you know?
He made 6. So
he made a lot.
Yeah.
He shot 9, so he made 6 of 9. My only worry with that is, a lot of games he's only shooting 6 to 8 3-pointers a game.
But he's still hitting the 3. That's what I'm saying. I think because they're where the Clippers at in the playoff picture? They're like right on the cusp.
They're
right?
the 8th seed right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he's going to come out shooting. I think he knows this is a big game for both of those teams, which is why I like LaVine, why I don't like Vooch, and why I like Paul George threes. I think I like that a lot. I think he'll smash it, to be honest.
All right. For what it's worth, too, we do have Marcus Morris and Nick Batum questionable. So maybe you do get a couple extra minutes here from George, who, again, they said he was on a strict 30 minutes limit. Ty Lue said there's no way he's playing over 30 minutes, and he played 31 minutes. So I don't trust Ty Lue at all right now, but especially if there's no Morris and there's no Batum, I think there's opportunities for more minutes, and more minutes equals more chances at made threes. So if that's the last one we want to go with, I think that's totally good with me. Paul George is going to be shooting the ball a ton in this game. So I think I am good with that.
I like it. By the way, who the hell is Xavier Moon on the Clippers?
He's a guy that's riding the end of the bench.
I was just looking at their lineup and I was like, who the hell is Xavier Moon? Never heard of that guy. I think this year in the NBA, we've seen more names that are just like, you're like, is that a real person? Like, who the hell is that?
There's a lot of fake guys, a lot of players. Like some of those guys on the Thunder, Lindy Waters, Reggie. These guys are not real. They're made up NBA players. So
yeah, it's NBA 2K.
Exactly.
Create a player mode.
Someone's making players and they're making it to the NBA somehow.
Yep. All right. So I got that locked and loaded. Do we want to do a first half like we've done the last few?
Or
what are your thoughts? We don't have to do another one if you don't want to. It is a slate that's not outstanding.
I'm not as confident in it. So I think maybe just riding with this one, the first one, just because I don't think we have to do it. If we're not liking something like,
sure.
Again, we did the double. Like we really liked the Houston Sacramento stack last game. We liked that Chicago one, Washington a couple of games ago. So I just don't really know if there's anything that stands out like that for me. Yeah.
And we don't know what there might be some news that comes out between now and when these games come out. So maybe we, if there's something that we feel more confident in the next few hours, we can, we
can throw something up.
Yeah, we can tweet out with you guys. I saw a few people yesterday post that they were riding with us, guys. Screenshot it and show it that you're riding with us. Like that's the the fun part about all of this is like we want it to be a something that the community talks about and comes up with the right plays and rides with each other on, because that's always fun.
Yeah, Cam brought up, I had that game stacked. I guess I didn't even see a Christopher miss a three that could have went to overtime, but that hurts a lot. Yeah. Did you want to bring up Rose Sumber?
Yeah. So I actually just got a case in. So we've got another case of cold brew in. So, guys, once again, use the coupon code DKDFS on roastumber.com and get 20% off your coffee. If you're going to be, crunching these numbers, if you're going to be trying to find the hidden value on PrizePicks, you got to be caffeinated while you're doing it. I've been drinking this. If you guys haven't been noticing, I've been doing that, always doing that. This is my coffee time. I'm locked and loaded for another like 2 hours of just pure caffeine. Got to do it just to find the right picks in these games. So coupon code DKDFS, get 20% off. And hey, what's better than coffee and fantasy?
If this hits, we're doing a coffee giveaway. And we can do some other creative giveaways too. We're open to anything. Like I said, it's only our fourth show. So you guys, if there's something in the comment section that you guys are like, oh, you guys could do this or you guys could do that, bring it up. Like we're down to try anything really. Yeah, really just get as many people involved as possible and do giveaways and just get the community engaged.
Yeah. No, this has been fun. And now we're due for a win. We've had some bad luck and, right plays, bad luck. I think that's what it goes back to, everything that we've been in everything. It's just been, we've had a little bit of bad luck. But that means we're due for some positive regression. So I like the fact that what we're doing today is a nice simple one. And I think I like what we're doing. But we're all going to get some wins, and it's going to be exciting. We're going to be able to give away some coffee and things like that. So yeah.
What I will say though too is like the safe route to go is just go two pick power plays and kind of mix and match, because if you'd done that over the last couple of days, you would have profited, right? We were 7-10 2 games ago, missing that Embiid by like 0.2. We were 5 of 9 yesterday, so nothing crazy, but still, that is probably your safest bet if you don't want to do if you don't want to roll with a 5-pick power play.
Yeah, and if you've been in these streams, we've talked about other plays that have hit that we haven't always run. So it's like if you're in here listening to this and things like that, like, you're going to find some of the, you might hear us say something and we don't end up putting it in our 5-pick, but if you're hearing one of these and you like what we're talking about, run it, because we've definitely talked about several that have ended up hitting that we just didn't have it in our lineup, but they still hit.
Yep.
So,
all right. Well, I think that's basically good. Anything else you want to say, or do you want to call it on that?
No, I think that sounds good. If you're DK will post the screenshot of us doing this, and then I'll comment below, and let's just keep it going, guys.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks again, guys. Really appreciate you checking out the stream. We'll be back tomorrow. I think we got a pretty decent size slate tomorrow, so should be a little bit more on the board to talk about. And appreciate you guys as always. Good luck, and we'll see you tomorrow.